Hey guys, my name is Chantal. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So today we are going to talk about episode 2 of Sasaki and Miyano, which I know what you're thinking. I probably should have talked about episode 1 beforehand, but I just did not have enough time to talk about episode 1. So we're just diving into episode 2. And before we dive into the anime, I just want to go ahead and say how much I love this series. I actually have all 4 volumes of the manga, and I have read it prior to, finding out that it was getting an anime. And once I read it, I was so excited to see that it was getting an anime, and could not wait to see all these cute moments be animated. The manga is amazing. And currently there's, I think, about 8 volumes out in Japan, but right now in English there's only 4 available, which Volume 5 is coming out in April, which can't wait for that. So I'm excited to see how this is all gonna go down and how well they animate the material from the manga. It is, like I said, one of my favorite series ever. It's so cute and wholesome, and I just love the relationship between Sasaki and Miyano. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about episode 2. So the episode basically starts off with Sasaki and Miyano leaving school together, and Miyano is really embarrassed because he doesn't want Sasaki to join him with going to go buy BL. But I love that Sasaki's like, I can join you, but I can just step away, be in another section, that way you won't feel really awkward about this. And he's like, well, I guess that could work. And it's really cute because I love that Sasaki respects his space and doesn't push him. As like, no, I'll go with you, and just sticks with him. And I love that because it's so cute how Miyano looks back and then Sasaki just waves. It's so adorable. And we actually get to see the opening of Sasaki and Miyano in the second episode, which I was so happy. There are so many cute little moments in the opening that I was like, oh, that's in the manga. I know what this moment is. It's so cute, especially the moment with the fireworks. It is basically mirroring the volume 4 cover, which I think is really, really awesome, especially with all the colors and everything. And I'm just gushing, and I'm just oh my gosh, they put a lot of love and thought into this opening, and I love it so much. It's so cute. But anywho, after that, we actually do dive into Sasaki going into Miyano's class to go and borrow a BL book. And this gets Miyano and his friend thinking, why would he come over just for BL manga? It doesn't make sense. And Miyano does ask Sasaki, he's like, I don't really see the appeal of why would you want to read it if you're not a fundanshi like me. And I love that Sasaki just drops it normally like nothing. He's like, what? I just want to know more about the person that I like. And it's just so cute, which everyone is kind of shocked that he even said that. And Miyano, of course, gets embarrassed, and he's like, don't say that. People are going to get the wrong idea about you and me. Which at this point, we can already tell that Sasaki is just dropping hints left and right, and then later backtracks as in, I'm just joking, which later makes Miyano think, which I love that we get to see that Miyano's thinking about this. He's like, did he really mean that as a joke, or what's going on? Miyano is slowly figuring things out. But at the same time, he's just kind of brushing it as I'm not gonna think about it too much. And speaking of BL, there's a moment in the anime where Miyano is going through his little iPod and is just browsing through his music, and then Sasaki comes in at the wrong time. He's like, hey, what are you listening to? And he ends up getting a full audio whiff of basically a drama CD, and you can tell Sasaki was very, very shocked, and Miyano was just completely mortified. He's just like, I just happen to have it there. It's not like I'm always listening to it around in public and blah blah blah. I love how Soma Saito nailed this part in the performance of how flustered Miyano was. I really, really like this. But then again, Soma Saito is one of my favorite voice actors because he also voices 10 from Idolish 7, which, fun fact, Sasaki is also voiced by Yamato from Eilish 7, for all of you Eilish 7 fans, which I think is really awesome. But just hearing, like I said, Soma Saito's performance for that part alone just made me gush. And I was just like, this is so cute. Like, he did a really fantastic job. Like, he really nailed the embarrassment that Miyano was feeling. And as Miyano is like really embarrassed and is having like this little meltdown at the moment, these group of guys like pass by and they start talking about Miyano and how there's some people that mistake him as a girl because he looks very feminine in some of his features. And as those two are passing by, Sasaki puts up a notebook in front of like to the side of Miyano's face, and it's so weird and awkward. But if I remember correctly from the manga, is that he basically does not want to want other people seeing this side of Miyano. Like, he is getting very protective and jealous. Like, he wants to see all these sides of Miyano first and have these all to himself, which I think is really adorable, honestly. Like, Sasaki is just so smitten and in love with Miyano, and you can tell just by the little tiny things that he does and actions, and it's just it's so great. Like, it's so cute, and I just I can't. And moving on to the next thing I do want to talk about is when Sasaki brings in Pocky and he's like, hey, let's play a game of chicken, which is basically like the Pocky game we're all familiar with, right? And he wanted to try that with Miyano, but Miyano obviously was like, no, we're not gonna do that. So Sasaki's like, all right, then you can just, eat them and have them. They're not too sweet, I promise. Because we all know that Miyano does not like sweet things. And with that, he's able to convince Miyano to take a bite from the Pocky that he had in his hand. And it surprised Sasaki. And it just the way that it gets quiet and all you hear is Miyano munching on the Pocky, like taking bites and bites. And it's just, I cannot. Like, I thought that was so cute. Like, it was cute in the manga, but the way that they went about it in the anime was so nicely done. Like, the sound, just the focus on Miyano, and just Sasaki's expression, just being shocked that he actually did it. He didn't think that he would actually, bite the Pocky from his hand. And y'all, I can't. They're so cute. And this is, like, too much for Sasaki's heart that he has to go. He's just like, all right, I'll see you later. You can have these. And he's like, all right, that was weird. Because, he ran out in a rush. So Miyano's like, okay. But then we get to see Sasaki. He's just like trying to calm himself down and is basically saying how he's trying really hard to restrain himself and hold himself back and not make Miyano afraid or like scare him off basically with his feelings, and he wants to be respectful of his space and his feelings and everything. He doesn't want to spook him. He doesn't want to make him uncomfortable, which I think is really, really nice that he's being considerate of Miyano's feelings and isn't being selfish and is thinking about himself. He's thinking about Miyano and how Miyano might feel or take it, which goes to show you just how, again, in love Sasaki really is with Miyano. Like, this man really respects and adores and loves the person that he likes, and I think that's really, really nice. And one of the visuals that I really liked in the scene, besides, Sasaki's cute little blushing face, was when he says that he's gonna start holding back a little bit, is when the water stops running and then the water starts going back. I thought that was a nice visual representation of Sasaki and his feelings, of him trying to hold back his feelings a little bit, like trying not to go too far. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was a really, really nice touch that they added there. And now going back to Miyano and his friends, so we do have a little bit of a discussion about Sasaki within Miyano's friends. His little blonde friend starts asking him questions like, hey, like, what's up with you and Sasaki? He's always coming by and he's calling you cute. Are you guys dating? And Miyano's like, no, that's not how it is. We're perfectly normal friends. We just have like this normal senpai and kohai relationship. And I love that they're like, you sure about that? Because it seems like there's something more going on. And of course his friend gets protective. He's like, wait, he's not pressuring you or doing something that you don't want to do, right? Which I love that his friends are concerned about him and want to make sure that he's okay and he's not doing something that he doesn't want to do. Which to me, that tells me that he has good friends with him, which is nice to see. His friend's like, well, if that's all there is and that you're okay and everyone's happy, then it's all good. And that's actually when his friend steps up and says, you know, Sasaki was the one that saved me last summer from being beat up. That was him. So he's a good guy. Like, there's no worries there. And I really like that he had to say that because this other friend doesn't know anything about Sasaki. So for him to speak up and tell him, hey, like, this is what he did for me. He's a really cool guy and a really nice guy. Because, you know, anyone could have just walked by and, like, done nothing. But Sasaki did something about it and helped out in the situation. Which then actually leads to Miyano wondering if Sasaki gets teased by his classmate or his friends too with the relationship that Miyano and him share, even though there's nothing going on. And as he's thinking about this, he gets spooked by Sasaki just because he's like so deep in his thoughts, which leads into this cute little moment of Sasaki and Miyano talking about how Miyano got into BL. And Miyano it looks like it's like a really awkward thing to talk about, but he decides that he wants to share this bit of information with Sasaki. Like, to me, that just goes to show you how much he does trust him and how much the relationship has progressed. So he's like, you know, I wasn't into BL before I got into the school. It's only until after I got into the school that I decided to check out manga and have it as a reward after exams and stuff. And I just happened to accidentally pick up BL because I didn't know what it was. And that's how it started. And I love that as he's awkwardly talking about this and is a little bit embarrassed and stuff and is just talking about it. Sasaki just the look that he has, you guys. I'm just, oh man, this man is just so in love and it's so cute. Because he tries to, like, touch his hand, but then he holds back and he's like, no. And it just, oh, man. Just the face that Sasaki makes. It's so cute. Like, he is so smitten over Miyano. And I can't get over how cute this is. Like, the poor man just wants to hold his hand and touch it, but he can't because he doesn't want to spook him. And he wants to be respectful of Miyano in his space. Like, we love a respectful man. And anywho, so moving on to the last bit of this episode, which is then Valentine's Day. So they run into like a whole bunch of Valentine's chocolates and Sasaki's like, hey, look, let's go ahead and look together. And as they're looking, Sasaki mentions like, oh, how about let's buy one for each other and like exchange it to each other. And Miyano's just like, oh, okay, whatever. And I love that Sasaki ends up buying it. But later at the very end of the episode, after the credits roll, it looks like he's trying to like find an opportunity to give these chocolates to Miyano. So he's trying to, you know, strike up a conversation. He's like, hey, like, how many chocolates do you get this year? And Miyano says 36. And hearing this surprises Sasaki. And he was just like, what? And he's like, yeah, well, in our class, they decided to do this event where we exchange, you know, chocolates with each other and stuff for Valentine's because there's someone that really loves doing like these little events. And poor Sasaki is just crushed. And I felt so bad that this happened. Like, you can tell like, he wanted to be the first one to give chocolates to Miyano and be possibly like the only one. And the fact that he had to hear that there was more people giving him chocolate and it wasn't just going to be him and it wasn't going to be something special between the two, like, just did not sit well with him. And I felt really bad. Like, poor Sasaki. And that's when he actually does end up going home and wonders who was the first one to give him the chocolate. And I'm just like, oh, this poor boy. Like, he is crushed, you guys, like, crushed. And Miyano has absolutely no idea, and I felt so bad. But knowing what's going to happen in the next episode is going to make up for it, I promise. I know it ended in a kind of sad note for this week's episode, but next week's episode, I promise y'all, will be better and more fluffier and wholesome. It's going to be great. Which actually concludes the first volume being adapted into the anime, which I was really surprised to see. But looking back at the manga, and I looked at the manga, everything has been faithfully adapted. As a manga reader, I can safely say that within these 2 episodes, which, by the way, the manga for Sasaki and Miyano, the volumes are pretty skinny. They aren't big or thick, so it makes sense that, you know, they wrapped up the first volume within 2 episodes. So you can kind of expect that with the next couple of episodes and volumes that are going to be adapted. So yeah, there's definitely a good chance that we'll see content that we haven't seen, since, you know, we've only have 4 volumes out. So we'll probably see more content that we haven't been able to read in English, like with the physical print. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about Sasaki and Miyano. I hope everyone's enjoying this. This is definitely one of my favorites from this winter season. I love and adore it so much. So I'm always excited to see how things are going to be adapted from the manga and just see it come to life, especially hearing Soma Saito and Yamato's voice actor from Idol 7 like bring these characters to life is such a nice treat. And I'm so happy this got an anime. But yeah, so that is it for this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!